Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be doing my episode recap and review for episode 6 of season 2 of The Strain. Now before I begin, as usual of course with all of my review videos, I must warn you that this video will be full of pretty big spoilers regarding the most recent episode of The Strain. So that being said, you have been warned. Excuse me. Wow. This was a good episode, like a really good episode. And of course, they confirmed my theory that I had about that character who appeared at the end of last week's episode. Of course, he is another Sun Hunter who has come to New York, presumably to finish Vaughn's work. And he's another Sun Hunter. We don't really know his name yet, and he's there to continue the work that Vaughn, Gus, and the other Sun Hunters were doing. So that's been confirmed. F is still in Washington, D.C. He seeks out a very old friend of his to help him get this new strain in front of the right people so they can start having it mass produced and then deployed amongst the troops, and they can use it to actually kill off the Strigoi. Nora and Zach have some bonding time, and they're getting some supplies from the shelter. And Mr. Fitzwilliam has kind of been brought into the loop finally because he joined up with the group at the end of the last week's episode as well. And he provides them with a map of detailed locations of all of the construction sites that Palmer owns and is operating out of, and how they're just building tons of different things. He doesn't know what for yet, and unfortunately, whenever Palmer met with Eichhorst, he was always told to leave the room. So, unfortunately, it seems like the only person of our main characters who even remotely likes or puts up with Fitzwilliam is Abraham, because Fett doesn't seem to trust him, Zach doesn't seem to like him, Nora seems okay with him, and Dutch was absent from this episode, so I'm not sure where she was. But speaking of absence, we finally saw the Master finally appeared in this episode after being gone for a couple episodes. I'll actually come back to that later. And then it turns out Gus has been staying at the Indian restaurant where he met his former hero, the Silver Angel, the former actor turned Mexican wrestler, and he's trying to bond with this guy and trying to open up to him, but this guy Angel just will not have any of it, as if he's just trying to deny and bury his past completely. And he doesn't care for Gus that much. He only puts up with him because the young woman who works there seems to like Gus, of course. And she explains to Gus she was going to school to become a doctor because doctors make a lot of money, but she also comments how she doesn't really have a whole lot of choice in the matter, as demonstrated when her father insisted that she go to carry out a food delivery, takeout order, and Gus volunteers to go with her, but of course Angel steps in saying he's not going to let some horny gangbanger escort the lovely young lady out on a food delivery. And Gus is like, okay bro, well, why don't we let the lady decide? And she's like, okay. And then the next scene, all three of them are together out on the street. And of course, Gus volunteers to go with her in the first place because not only is he starting to like her as well, but he does make a good point how it's not exactly safe, even during the day, to be out there in New York. So that's why he and Angel go with her on this food delivery. They make the delivery, they drop off the food, and they're ambushed by a couple of Strigoi, and this was so cool. Gus had in his sleeve the whole time a hatchet where he just shook his arm and the hatchet slipped down into his palm, and then he chucked it at the Strigoi, thunking it right in the head, and then he pulls out his 9mm, blasted in the head, and then another Strigoi comes around the corner and it's about to bite Angel, but he's like, look out! And then Angel kind of pins it against the wall while Gus takes the hatchet out of the other Strigoi and goes, it was a good kill scene, a good Strigoi kill scene, and fortunately nobody's infected or bitten. All three characters are okay, and then when his knee injury starts to act up, Angel's knee injury, Gus and the girl help him get out of the apartment. So it's nice to see that their relationship is starting to build, even though it's probably going to take a while for Gus and Angel to really get along with each other. Meanwhile, F is in Washington. He meets with a very, very old friend of his, a guy he met way, way back in the day. They go way back, and this guy has good connections in DC, and he can get F in front of the right people. And they meet this woman who's this guy's contact. His name is Rob. His contact in this local pharmaceutical company, and they arrange to meet her, and she agrees to get this a sample of this the new strain in front of her bosses, so they can start getting, if they want to manufacture it. And while she's while she's talking to these two, they're out in public in this restaurant where, of course, F is drinking. And she mentions how Everett Barnes has been killed when he fell off of a train. Of course, we know better. F, while defending himself, tossed Barnes off of the train. Probably didn't mean to kill him, but obviously he did. And of course, his buddy shoots him a look because earlier, when these two first reunite, his buddy notices how he has a blood stain on his shirt, and he has a gun for some reason. Like, he has a pistol in his suit. He's like, whoa, whoa. He's like, what's that for? Don't ask. You don't want to know. And then when she steps away to take a phone call, he's like, look, that thing about Barnes. He's like, I don't want to know. It's none of my business. So obviously this guy trusts F somewhat, because he's not going to question him about killing his former boss. Plus, at the same time, Everett was, kind of being forced to be a puppet for Palmer and Eichhorst, and ultimately the master in the Strigoi cause. So since he was delaying efforts and operations in New York to get the city of clean and free of all Strigoi, it's probably a good thing that he's gone. And he wasn't that interesting of a character to begin with. So he and F might have gotten along at one point, but once you make a deal with the devil, game over. I mean, that's it. So, meanwhile, back in New York, Nora and Zach are getting a ride home from a police officer because Councilwoman Justine arranges a ride for them after they pick up some clothes from the shelter. Unfortunately, they're attacked by Kelly and the Feelers. The cop is killed. His neck is snapped. Surprisingly, the Feeler didn't hit him with its tongue. It just snapped his neck. But they chase Nora and Zach into a church. Kelly and her Feelers do. And they're basically just fighting to keep themselves separated from them. And Zach, of course, recognizes his mom while Nora tries to take a few shots. She's gotten better with a gun, but she's still not quite a good shot yet. Meanwhile, back in D.C., F and his friend are celebrating the fact that Rob's friend in the pharmaceutical company has gotten them a chance to possibly begin manufacturing this new strain. So his friend leaves him and the woman behind because he's got a date, and then these two start flirting with each other. And I'm thinking to myself, F, what are you doing, man? I mean, you have an ex-wife who's dead now, or undead. She's a Strigoi, but you and Nora kind of have a thing going. She stayed behind and offered to watch over and protect your son. And this is how you're repaying her? You're going behind her back and you're going to sleep with this blonde floozy you just met? I mean, Jesus, that's kind of a dick move. I mean, maybe Nora will find out, or maybe she'll never find out. But at the same time, I'm like, that's kind of a dick move, man. What the hell? And you know what I like about F is that, unlike The Walking Dead, where Rick is our main character and he's a man driven by morals and principles and survival to protect, and determined to protect his family and friends, and overall a good guy, F isn't that great of a guy. He's got some admirable traits, but he's also kind of a scumbag too. And he's an alcoholic, and he's been drinking this whole time. He started drinking again when his wife first turned into a Strigoi in the season 1 finale. So that probably most definitely doesn't help. And he's got his faults, like any human being. He's got his faults, yet he's also our leading anti-hero on the show, and I really enjoy that. I like seeing an anti-hero in the lead of a show like this, because your main character can be kind of despicable, but at the same time, he's the main guy we're going to be following for this whole thing, so we kind of have to like him. But I just thought to myself, that was kind of interesting, like, wow, he gives no second thought or hesitation to, gee, maybe I shouldn't do this because I'm technically kind of with Nora, or maybe I'm just going to go for it because I'm horny and I haven't had any. They end up sleeping together. The next morning, they wake up in her place. She gets off the phone with F's friend Rob, calling to see if F was okay because F never made it back to Rob's place the other night because he and her were you know. But, as they're getting ready to have coffee or eat breakfast or whatever, she has him sign some kind of affidavit waiving all of his rights and claims of ownership of his strain, his new medicine, over to this pharmaceutical company, because that's what they make people do before they even test or manufacture anything. And of course, that really pisses off F. And I actually kind of agree with him on this. He's like, the world is going to shit, and people are still interested in their own self-interest. And you have to go through all these political channels to get anything done. You have to wait for all this stuff to be officially taken care of or recognized, and even in a time of crisis. But he ultimately does sign it away, and hopefully that starts production on the new strain at this pharmaceutical company. Excuse me. Meanwhile, Nora and Zach are still trapped in the church. They're fighting their way out, and she manages to get on the phone to Abraham at Fett's place. Abraham, Fett, and Fitzwilliam are en route on the way to their rescue. Meanwhile, Eichhorst, who's finally returned after being absent from a couple of episodes, he and Palmer are at one of Palmer's construction sites building God only knows what, but obviously something to do with the Strigoi and the Master. And Palmer is starting to really lose his patience with Eichhorst and the Master. Like, the Master has been taking his sweet time to reply or respond to Palmer or let him know what's going on or keeping him in the loop. And Palmer's really getting sick of it. And he tries to throw on a serious "don't fuck with me" face with Eichhorst, who's perfectly calm throughout this whole scene. I love how calm and serene Eichhorst is. It's like he gives him a look, and his whole attitude to Palmer the whole time is nothing. You have absolutely nothing to threaten the Master with. There's nothing you can do or say that will frighten or threaten me or the Master. Because he's like, the Master had better start keeping me in the loop and telling me what the hell is going on, or I'm not going to be a part of this. Or it's like, but it's like, tell him for his own sake, he needs to start keeping me informed. And then I love Eichhorst's final line in this scene between him and Palmer. He's like, for your sake, I will not relay that particular message. Basically, he won't relay Palmer's threat to the Master, because you don't threaten the Master. Unless you're an equally powerful Strigoi, you can't really fuck or mess with the Master. So, Palmer was just blowing off steam, trying to get the Master's attention. But Eichhorst assures him that the Master will get to him when he can, in the time that he chooses. So Palmer's just going to have to be a bit more patient. And, this also confirms, Fitzwilliam, while he was showing Fett and Abraham all the construction sites and the properties owned by the Stornhart Group and Palmer, he mentions how, he confirms Abraham's theory that even though he's got all this money and power, what he's really after is immortality and a high elevated position in the new world order that is supposedly to come. And that he wants to be like a top Strigoi. And they say it outright. He wants to be one of them. He wants to become one of them. And that confirms Abraham's suspicions based on the look on his face. And by around that time, that's when they get the phone call from Nora to go to her rescue. And as she and Zach are pinned down and they're close to being found by the Feelers, that's when the three of them show up. Strachian, Abraham, and Fitzwilliam. They show up. They kill and shoot at least one of the Feelers, while Kelly stays safely out of the way, and the other Feelers also escape. Fitzwilliam proves to be a crack shot, shooting one right through the head, an instant kill shot. And, Nora and Zach regroup with their friends. Unfortunately, a Feeler appears behind them, and Nora yells, "Watch out!" But it's too late. Damn it. The Feeler latches its tongue out onto Fitzwilliam's ankle, hurting him, while Abraham quickly goes up and slices off its head with his sword cane. But unfortunately, it's too late for Fitzwilliam. And also, in the meantime, Fett takes aim at Kelly. He's like, "Hello, Mama Bear." Shoots at her several times, but of course, she escapes and he misses. So Abraham realizing what's going to happen to Fitzwilliam tells Nora to take Zach out to the truck, and then Fett follows them as well. And Fitzwilliam knows what's going to happen too. He's not acting all stupid about it. He knows what's going to happen to him. He's like, please don't let me become one of them. And you can tell Abraham's going to dispatch him rather quickly. And he's like, tell my brother I tried and I'm sorry. He's like, I'll relay your message. Thank you for your help and giving us the information that you could. Because, damn it, now that Fitzwilliam is dead, and of course, shocker, through mid-sentence, Abraham cuts off Fitzwilliam's head as he's still a human being, not giving him a single opportunity to even turn into a Strigoi. And really, Abraham, as gruesome as it was, did him a favor. But, I'm like, damn it, this really sucks, because now that, Fitzwilliam had all the intel they needed and all the dirt they could use against Palmer and Eichhorst and the Master, or at least Palmer, but now he's fucking dead. Shit. At least they were able to get a few leads from him and confirmations regarding information on Palmer and his operations. But it is also unfortunate that Fitzwilliam met his end. Of course, even though he was a good guy who was just on the wrong side for the longest time, he was overall a pretty decent man who just was had clouded judgment and decisions. This is kind of a fitting end. When you side with the devil and you basically kind of unintentionally or intentionally sell your soul, it's kind of game over for you. So whatever happens, what's ever going to happen to you, you're probably going to deserve it. Not that I'm saying I was happy to see him go. I was actually quite unhappy to see Fitzwilliam die, because I was like, shit, just when they had a chance for him to really develop more as a character, to be his own man finally, they off him, they kill him. So Abraham kills him, but at least they did get some good intel from him. But it was still sad to see him go. So R.I.P. Fitzwilliam. And then meanwhile, after celebrating once again the progress they've made in D.C., F and his lady friend go back to Rob's place, and they try to call Rob, but they get no answer on his cell phone. Right as they start to head upstairs to celebrate, they find Rob's body on the floor with a gunshot right in his forehead, and you can tell it really hurts F. Like, really hurts him, because this was a very old close friend of his, and he's been killed. And sure enough, the assassin is still in the room, some guy with a silencer on his pistol, and he looks at his cell phone, and it's a picture of F with his hair. He's like, good weather. And F tries to plead with him not to shoot the woman and leave her alone. He tells her to run, but the assassin puts 2 or 3 bullets in her chest. And then he tries to shoot F in the chest as well, but F turns and he only takes it in the shoulder. And as the assassin moves in to finish him off, F reveals his 9mm and shoots him, bang, dead, clear shot right through the forehead, and the assassin is killed. F looks at his phone, he sees his picture, he scrolls to the side, Stoneheart Group. Somebody on Palmer's payroll. And he goes up to the woman, and you can tell by looking at his eyes, obviously he's more upset about his friend dying, but he also feels bad that this innocent woman got in the middle of it. And she's like, who are you? And then dies, of course. And then F is now left alone with his plan obviously going to shit. Now, hopefully the right people got the information she submitted to them on time, because she had him sign that affidavit signing over all the rights and ownership over to the pharmaceutical company that could and supposedly will develop this strain into a vaccine to use against the Strigoi. And talking to an old friend of Rob's in the National Guard, this National Guard general promises to deploy it amongst his troops if it ever gets made. So they did make some progress, but at the same time, this has gone horribly, horribly wrong for poor F. So that's what happened in this most recent episode. Overall, I really liked it. I like the direction that certain characters are taking and how their roles and relationships continue to change on this show. This new Sun Hunter has revealed himself to the Ancients, reassuring them that he will take care of the Master, but for his own reasons. And he even makes comment to Vaughn about how he actually trained Vaughn and the other Sun Hunters many years ago, and he lectures he gives him a hard time, saying You guys have let the master live for too long. It's time to stop him. And he also asked about, whether or not they still have any human hunters on their side. A human hunter referring to Gus, of course. So maybe this new Sun Hunter will run into Gus somehow or something like that, or maybe our main group of characters. So who knows? And hopefully we'll find out one of these days whether or not Vaughn actually died or not, and if he's just injured and being kept captive somewhere. We're not sure. Oh, and on that note, I loved how Icor's called Palmer out on his UV traps when Palmer told him about the Sun Hunters coming to kidnap him, but he turned the tricks on them, and Icor was not pleased that he had kept that fact from him and the Master regarding the UV traps, and he asked him in that condescending tone, "Are there any such more devices in your penthouse?" So, oh, and speaking of Icor, Scott, I almost forgot. We see him and Gabriel go down to the Master's coffin. The Master, who's finally returned after being absent from quite a few episodes. We see him, and he's presumably going to transfer his essence into Icor's body, since his body is currently dying and falling apart after being severely burned and injured from Season 1. And then right in front of Icor, to his shock, he transfers his essence. And of course, that involves more worm vomiting. Ugh, that was nasty. Not as nasty as the first time in Season 2 premiere, but he vomits into Gabriel. He's like, "Blah!" And then his old body falls over and dies. And Icor, who you can see is heartbroken and looks totally betrayed and confused that his master would tease him like this and taunt him by saying, "Oh, you might become my new body someday, but I'm going to use this guy's body instead." It's like, ouch for Icor. Ooh, he got a taste of his own medicine for once. And I have to say, it was kind of satisfying to watch him look completely and utterly hurt and betrayed, showing that he can feel something after all. But then the Master takes Gabriel's body. He takes off the hideous wig, of course, and you can tell by looking at Gabriel's eyes, it's the Master's eyes, those dark red glowing eyes, and he assures Icor that he remains to be his right hand and they will be together forever. So overall, good episode. Really liked it. Some pretty shocking moments there, some shocking deaths, but so far so good. I'm really liking what they're doing this season, and it's like they're not really skipping a beat. They're getting from one thing to the other. Overall, very, very enjoyable. So I can't wait to see what's to come for the rest of the season. Well, guys, thank you very much for tuning in and watching this episode review video here on The Edward. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your thoughts and opinions in your comments down below, like and share this video. What did you think of this most recent episode? Were you shocked by Fitzwilliam's death? Do you think he had it coming? Do you think they could have kept him on longer as a character? Could he have grown more? What do you think is F's next move now that he's kind of trapped in DC with no friends and no contacts to help him? What do you think is going to happen next? Feel free to sound off down below. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming content and videos. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who do tune in on a regular basis for supporting my channel. It's very much appreciated, and I hope to gain more viewers as time goes by, and thanks to people like you guys. And I hope you enjoy what you see and listen to here. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of the night. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.